Not so generous gifts. This isn't fair, Mom. Aunt Victoria bought Jake the new iPhone 15. Why can't you ever get us anything nice? Emma yelled before stomping up to her room, slamming the door so hard that the pictures on the wall shook. I'm Olivia Parker, a 42-year-old mom trying to raise my kids right. But my sister-in-law, Victoria, is making it difficult. She moved in nearby 6 months ago after her third divorce, bringing fancy bags and big promises. Now, she's spoiling my kids with expensive gifts I can't compete with. I stood in the kitchen, gripping the counter. Upstairs, I heard Emma texting her aunt, probably thanking her again for the $300 shoes Victoria bought last week. Shoes that would soon be forgotten, just like all the other expensive things piling up in her closet. Then I heard Emma type something that broke my heart. Mom's just jealous she can't give us what you do. It wasn't always like this. Emma and Jake used to understand the value of money. We weren't poor. I was a nurse, and their dad, Mark, was a teacher. We lived comfortably, but we wanted them to earn what they wanted. Then Victoria arrived. She always showed up with shopping bags saying they deserve better than just an average life. When I tried to refuse the gifts, she would sigh dramatically and say, "See, your mother doesn't want you to have nice things." Mark didn't see the problem. "She's just being generous, Liv," he'd say. "What's the harm?" The harm? My children were changing. They used to be grateful. Now, they only cared about price tags. Last week, I found Jake throwing away the sweater I had knitted for his birthday. Aunt Victoria says only poor people wear handmade clothes, he muttered. Then Victoria made an even bigger promise, showing up at Jake's soccer game in a brand new Tesla and loudly telling everyone she would buy him one for his 16th birthday. "Since your parents won't," she added. I felt helpless. How could I fight this? But something about Victoria's spending didn't make sense. She claimed to be rich, yet she lived in a small apartment and often asked Mark for money. She kept buying gifts, but I noticed she reused shopping bags and paid with different credit cards. Then I found a clue, a crumpled receipt in Jake's pocket from an expensive boutique. It had a red stamp. Return item. Story Kirige PNDing. That $800 designer jacket Victoria gave Jake? She had returned it. I started digging. Online, I found complaints about a woman matching Victoria's description. Someone buying luxury items, showing them off, then returning them. I also saw something strange in her social media posts. Pictures taken in front of storage units. That's when I realized the truth. Victoria wasn't rich, she was drowning in debt. She wasn't buying gifts out of love. She was trying to keep up an illusion. Then I got a text from her. "Taking the kids shopping for new phones this weekend. Don't worry, I'll pay. That's what real love looks like." I stared at the message. My kids thought her love was measured in gifts. They didn't see the trap she was pulling them into. I needed proof, something they couldn't ignore. And I knew exactly where to find it. The next morning, as I sipped my coffee, a notification popped up on my phone. Victoria had just posted another Instagram story. There she was, standing in front of her storage unit, surrounded by shopping bags, captioning it "just organizing some surprises for my favorite niece and nephew." #best aunt ever. But what caught my eye wasn't the designer logos or her perfectly posed smile. It was the unit number clearly visible behind her, 247. More importantly, I recognized the facility's distinctive orange doors. It was Clearview Storage, just 15 minutes from our house. Before I could investigate further, Emma burst into the kitchen. "Mom, can I go to the mall with Aunt Victoria after school? She's getting me a new laptop for my photography." I hesitated. Emma had been saving for that laptop for months before Victoria came along. "Honey, what happened to wanting to earn it yourself?" She rolled her eyes. That was before I realized how pointless it is to wait when Aunt Victoria actually cares about my dreams. The words stung, but they also strengthened my resolve. "Sure," I said casually. "Have fun." As soon as the kids left for school, I drove to Clearview Storage. The facility was quiet at this hour, just a few cars scattered across the parking lot. I walked past Unit 247, noting the heavy padlock securing it. "Can I help you?" A friendly voice called out. The facility manager, Linda according to her name tag, approached with a clipboard. "Actually, yes," I smiled. "I'm interested in renting a unit. I noticed some people using them for business storage. Linda's expression shifted slightly. Yes, though we've had some issues with retail return fraud lately. One tenant has been causing problems, buying things just to photograph them and return them later. Creates chaos for our other tenants. Really? I kept my voice casual. That sounds complicated. Oh, it is, especially when the credit card companies get involved. Speaking of, she glanced at her clipboard. I need to post another notice on 247. The payment's late again. I watched as she walked to Victoria's unit, placing a bright orange notice on the door. My phone buzzed. Another Instagram story from Victoria. Shopping spree time with my favorite girl. Emma deserves the best. # of surprise. That afternoon, I picked up Jake from soccer practice. He was unusually quiet during the drive home. Everything okay? I asked. He fidgeted with his phone. Mom, Aunt Victoria promised to buy our whole team new cleats for the championship. But today Coach said the credit card payment didn't go through. I gripped the steering wheel tighter. Did you tell your aunt? Yeah, she said it was just a bank error. But some of the guys were laughing about it. It was embarrassing. My heart ached for him. Jake, you know true generosity isn't about big promises or expensive gifts, right? He stared out the window. I guess. It's just, Aunt Victoria makes everything seem so easy, like we don't have to worry about money at all. That's because she's not the one dealing with the consequences, I said softly. When we got home, Emma was already there, tears streaming down her face. Aunt Victoria canceled our shopping trip. She said something came up, but I saw her arguing with someone at the store earlier. They were saying something about returned items and banned accounts. I sat down next to her on the couch. Emma, honey, I think there's something you and Jake need to understand about your aunt's gifts. But before I could continue, Jake called out from the kitchen. Mom, look at this. He was staring at his phone. Someone posted a video of Aunt Victoria at the storage facility. She's yelling at the manager about something. We huddled around his phone, watching the shaky footage. There was Victoria, designer purse swinging wildly as she gestured at Linda. You can't lock me out. All my inventory is in there. Inventory? Emma whispered. The video continued, Victoria's carefully crafted image crumbling as she screamed about return policies and credit card limits. The final frame showed her attempting to block Linda from placing a unit seized notice on Unit 247. I don't understand, Jake said. What inventory? Why does Aunt Victoria have a storage unit? I took a deep breath. Why don't we find out? Linda called me earlier. Apparently, your aunt abandoned the unit. As her next of kin, we're allowed to clear it out before they auction it. 20 minutes later, we stood before Unit 247. Linda unlocked it, stepping back as the door rolled up to reveal Victoria's house of cards. Emma gasped. Jake dropped his phone. The unit was packed with returned items. Clothes with tags still attached, electronics in resealed boxes, shoes lined up in perfect pairs. Each item had a corresponding return receipt attached. In the corner, a whiteboard listed dates and store names, marking when each item needed to be returned to stay within policy limits. But, my laptop? Emma's voice trembled. I picked up a nearby shipping box. Inside was the same model Victoria had promised Emma, along with a return label already filled out for next week. And the team cleats? Jake asked. Linda pointed to a stack of shoeboxes. Let me guess, she promised these last week? Right before the credit card company finally froze her accounts. The kids were silent as they moved through the unit, recognition dawning as they found items they'd been gifted, all carefully documented for future returns. She was going to take everything back, Emma whispered. All those gifts, all those promises, they were never real. Jake picked up his new phone box, finding the return receipt already stapled to it. We were so awful to you, Mom, all because of fake presents. I pulled them both close. The gifts were real. It was the intention behind them that was fake. Your aunt wanted to look generous without actually being generous. Emma buried her face in my shoulder. I'm so sorry about what I said about the sweater. About everything. Me too, Jake added. You and Dad always taught us that we should earn the things we want. We forgot that because we got distracted by easy stuff. Linda appeared in the doorway. The auction company will be here tomorrow. You can take anything you want to keep, but honestly, she gestured at the staged photographs taped to the wall. showing Victoria posing with various gifts in front of different storage units. I don't think any of this is worth keeping. True gifts. As we drove home from the storage unit, the car was silent except for the sound of Emma deleting her Instagram pictures with Aunt Victoria. Jake sat in the backseat, running his fingers over the sweater I had made for him. "Can I still wear this?" he asked softly. "I mean, if you haven't given it away." I smiled at him in the mirror. "Of course, honey, it's yours." Emma looked up from her phone, frowning. "Mom, Aunt Victoria is saying we stole from her storage unit. She's posting that you're jealous and trying to ruin her reputation." I pulled into our driveway and saw Mark's car already there. "Let's go talk to your dad. He needs to hear the truth." Inside, we found Mark in the kitchen, staring at his phone. He looked up, troubled. "Liv, did you really break into Victoria's storage unit? She's called me 5 times, crying." "Dad," Jake interrupted, holding out his phone. "You need to see this." We all gathered at the table as Jake showed him the video of Victoria's meltdown at the storage unit. Emma added screenshots of receipts and pictures of all the gifts stacked inside. I explained how Victoria had returned most of the expensive items and was using different credit cards to keep up appearances. Mark's face paled. "All those things she gave you, the phone, the laptop, the cleats, she promised they were yours." "They were never ours," Emma said. "She was just using us for show." Mark slumped in his chair. "I gave her money for bills. She said she was investing it." "She was pretending," I said gently. "And in the process, she made our kids believe that love is measured by how much money you spend." Jake suddenly stood up. "Wait here. I want to show you something." He ran upstairs and came back with a shoebox filled with money. I stopped saving when Aunt Victoria made it seem pointless. But maybe I can start again. Emma left the room and returned with her own savings jar. "Me too. Mom, will you help me make a budget? Like you tried to before." Tears filled my eyes as I nodded. "Of course." Just then, Mark's phone rang, Victoria. This time, he put it on speaker. "Mark, you have to help me," she cried. "Your wife is ruining everything." "Those gifts were for the kids. You mean the gifts you plan to return?" Mark interrupted. "Save it, Victoria. We saw everything. The storage unit, the receipts, the credit card scams. You didn't just lie to us. You used my kids." "I was trying to give them the life they deserve," she argued. Emma stepped forward. "No, Aunt Victoria, you were using us to make yourself look good. Mom and Dad were trying to teach us real values, but we didn't see it." "You made us think love was about expensive gifts," Jake added. "But real love doesn't disappear after a photo is posted." There was silence on the other end. Then Victoria whispered, "Mark, please." "Goodbye, Victoria," Mark said firmly. "Don't contact us again." He hung up and pulled us into a hug. That night, for the first time in months, we really talked. Emma planned ways to save for the laptop she wanted. Jake proudly wore his sweater and thought of ways to raise money for his soccer cleats. Mark smiled. I think we all learned something important. Money can't buy real love and respect. And real gifts, Emma added, come from the heart, not from a storage unit. Over the next few weeks, our family felt whole again. Sunday movie nights returned, complete with homemade pizza and laughter. Jake organized a fundraiser for his soccer team. Emma started taking photography jobs to earn her own money. Victoria's social media eventually disappeared. We heard she had moved away, hopefully to start fresh. One morning, while cleaning her room, Emma found a designer dress Victoria had given her, still with the tags attached. "Should we return it?" she asked. I looked at her and smiled. "What do you think?" Emma thought for a moment and grinned. "Maybe we could donate it. Someone else might need it more than we do." I hugged her tight. "That sounds perfect." And so we began a new tradition, not of receiving, but of giving. Because the most valuable gifts aren't wrapped in expensive boxes. They come from love, honesty, and family.